Welcome back to the adventures of Arin Cade. Today, we journey to one of the most mysterious places on Earth in the sky temples of Mount Roraima. At the border where Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana meet, a colossal tabletop mountain rises from the jungle, its flat peak almost always hidden by clouds. Mount Roraima. Local legends call it the House of the Gods. Scientists call it one of the oldest geological formations on the planet. But our adventurer, Arin Cade, suspected it was something far more extraordinary. The chronocrystal he'd recovered from Petra pulsed with a gentle warmth against his chest as the helicopter descended through the thick, swirling mist. Moments later, the sound of the rotors faded, leaving Arin standing alone on the vast, wet plateau. He pulled the straps of his pack tighter, a determined glint in his eye. "All right," Arin said to the silent, misty world around him. "Let's see what you've been hiding." The top of Mount Roraima was like stepping onto another planet. The ground was a strange landscape of black rock, twisted by millennia of wind and rain. Giant, milky quartz crystals, some as tall as a person, jutted from the earth like ancient teeth. Waterfalls, fed by the constant rain, spilled over the sheer cliffs, their streams vanishing into the endless sea of clouds below. It was a place where time itself seemed to stand still. Arin took a few steps, his boots splashing in shallow pools of rainwater. He scanned the horizon, but the mist was so thick he could barely see 20 feet ahead. Suddenly, the air in front of him shimmered, like heat rising from a road on a summer day. He stopped, hand hovering over the crystal on his pack. Stone platforms, each the size of a small room, began to rise silently from the ground. They floated a few feet above the rocky surface, held aloft by an energy he couldn't see. Along their edges, ancient symbols started to glow with a soft blue light. Arin's breath caught in his throat. He'd seen these symbols before carved into the underwater monuments of Yanaguni and hidden within the treasury of Petra. "This mountain isn't just old," Arin whispered, his voice filled with awe. "It's connected." The floating platforms drifted slowly, arranging themselves into a path that led out over a deep fog-filled chasm. Arin took a deep breath and stepped onto the first one. It felt solid beneath his feet, but it wobbled slightly before drifting forward on a current of invisible energy. One by one, the platforms formed a moving bridge, a perilous walkway suspended above the clouds. But Arin quickly realized this path was not a simple one. Some of the platforms ahead began to flicker, their glowing symbols dimming as they became transparent, almost vanishing completely before solidifying again. It was a test. He watched carefully, trying to find a rhythm or a pattern. Then it hit him. The platforms weren't on a timer. They were responding to him. When he hesitated, his mind filled with doubt, a platform would start to fade. But when he moved with confidence, stepping forward with purpose, and without fear, the platforms remained solid and steady. He cleared his mind, focusing only on the next step. "No fear," he said calmly, his voice steady. He walked across the shifting, flickering bridge, his movements fluid and sure. With one final, confident leap, he landed safely on the far side, turning back to see the bridge of stones dissolve back into the mist. There, at the center of this hidden plateau, stood a structure that defied gravity. It was a massive stone archway, suspended in midair, seemingly held together by nothing but threads of glowing, blue energy that pulsed like a slow heartbeat. The gate was ancient, weathered by eons, yet it hummed with a power that felt alive. Carved into the stone lintel were words in an ancient language, the same one he was slowly piecing together from his adventures around the globe. He traced the symbols with his finger, translating them aloud. Knowledge rises only when grounded in humility. Humility. It wasn't about power or control, but about respect for what came before. At the base of the gate, there was a small, perfectly shaped indentation. It matched the chronocrystal from Petra. Arin carefully took the crystal from his pack. It glowed brightly as it neared the gate. He placed it into the slot, and it clicked perfectly into place. The entire archway flared with brilliant light, and the space within it shimmered, transforming from empty air into a breathtaking stairway made of pure, white light, leading straight up into the sky. Arin didn't hesitate. He stepped onto the first stair, which felt as solid as rock, and began his ascent. He climbed higher and higher, the misty plateau of Roraima shrinking below him until it was just a dark shape in a sea of white. He emerged through the cloud layer into a world of impossible beauty. He was in a city in the sky. Majestic temples, crafted from white stone and shimmering crystal, floated serenely among the clouds. They were connected by bridges of pure, golden light, and their crystal spires refracted the sun's rays, casting brilliant rainbows across the endless blue sky. It was a sight no human had ever witnessed. He walked across a bridge of light toward the largest temple. Inside, the walls were not stone, but living murals of glowing energy. They depicted the story of Earth's earliest ages, the violent birth of mountains, the slow formation of oceans, and the very first sparks of life. It was a visual history of the world. And at the center of this grand hall, floating in a column of gentle light, was a massive, perfectly clear crystal sphere, the Sky Archive. "This is it," Arin said in awe, his voice barely a whisper. "This is where the world's first knowledge was stored." As he approached the archive, the air in the temple grew cold and began to swirl. The light from the murals dimmed. From the swirling wind and light, 3 towering figures began to form. They had no distinct features, just ethereal forms made of living energy, their bodies shifting like clouds in a storm. They were the Wind Guardians. Their voices echoed through the temple, not as a single sound, but as a chorus that seemed to come from everywhere at once, like thunder softened by great distance. "Why do you seek the sky's wisdom?" one of them boomed. Arin didn't flinch. He stood tall, his heart steady, and looked directly at the central figure. "Not to control it," he answered, his voice clear and strong, "but to protect what remains. To learn from the past so we can preserve the future." The guardians circled him, their windy forms creating a powerful vortex. Intense gusts of wind threatened to lift him from the floor and send him tumbling out into the open sky. But Arin planted his feet firmly, grounding himself, remembering the words on the gate. Humility. He didn't fight the wind. He simply held his ground, showing his resolve. Slowly, the powerful winds began to calm. The swirling vortex subsided. The 3 guardians stopped circling, and in a gesture of respect, bowed their ethereal heads. The massive Sky Archive at the center of the room began to glow with an intense, warm light. It pulsed once, and a single object emerged from the sphere, floating gently toward Arin. It was a crystal, shaped like a delicate feather, glowing with a soft white and blue light that seemed to breathe. A gentle, melodic voice, ancient and kind, echoed through the temple, seeming to come from the archive itself. "The sky remembers," the voice said. "Carry its truth." The feather-shaped crystal floated down and settled into Arin's outstretched hand. It was warm to the touch and surprisingly light, almost weightless. He closed his fingers around it, a sense of profound peace washing over him. The gift of the sky was now his to protect. As he held the crystal, the temples around him began to grow faint. The bridges of light flickered, and the crystal spires started to dissolve, their rainbows fading from the sky. The city of the clouds was returning to its hidden state. Arin quickly made his way back to the stairway of light and descended, stepping onto the final platform just as the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant shades of gold and pink. He was back on the misty plateau of Mount Roraima. The floating platforms, the sky gate, and the stairway of light were all gone. The mountain was silent, once more ancient, mysterious, and seemingly unchanged. Arin carefully clipped the glowing feather crystal to his pack, next to the others. He looked out at the sunrise, a smile spreading across his face. "The world keeps its secrets," he said to the morning breeze. but only for those brave enough to listen. With the wind at his back and another piece of history's puzzle secured, Arin Cade turned and walked toward the edge of the plateau, ready for his next great adventure. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. If you loved this adventure, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss what Arin discovers next. See you on the next adventure.